Okay. Yeah, I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well. I'm doing unwell. I'm not enjoying my moment to moment existence is very psychologically painful. So I'm just extremely lonely and extremely anxious. and as I was like walking around, went out for a walk, and then I went out. Yeah, I went out for a walk. I don't know what I was. I think yeah, I was. So I walked to McDonald's. I walked like long ways along the river to McDonald's, and McDonald's is open until 4 a.m. And I didn't wake up until like the evening, basically. So I was sort of like, okay, I can like go there and get a coffee, and like just they have Wi-Fi, and because I don't have phone service, so I have to like find a Wi-Fi. And so I was walking to McDonald's, and then these two Mormon girls stopped me and wanted to talk to me. And uh, later on when I was at McDonald's, they're like, damn, that kind of fucked up my whole like thing because I was, it's like during the walk, you get sort of like sort your brain out, get organized, you start thinking about calm down or whatever, and then start thinking about what you're going to work on. And then once I get there and I can start working on it, but then I talked to them for so long that I was like sort of in this like I was like all kind of amped up, like not thinking clearly, not I hadn't, I wasn't ready to focus. And they were like trying to get me to go to church like tomorrow and stuff. And first of all, it's such a pain. It's to say this happened to me in Minneapolis too, where these two girls came up and started talking to me. It's like, first of all, I never have any women come up and just want to proactively want to talk to me. But secondly, these girls are gorgeous. They are so smoking hot, so pretty. Uh, it's just like I'm just like in shock. I'm like, how are you walking around like you're not the most amazing things ever? Like, how do you like? They say that the body is a temple. Mormons believe body. In your case, it's 100% true. But anyway, so they, so I was trying to talk to them. I was trying to tell them something uh, about what I believe. Because they kind of like start asking. Of course, that's what they do. They start asking, "What are your beliefs?" Um, and I couldn't really say it clearly, but then later on when I was walking home, I kind of like figured it out, I guess. And like the thing is, what is the thing? The thing is this, like, okay, so God, either the world came from nothing or the world came from God, right? I think that's like their frame is like, no, it's like the world came from God because if it didn't come from God, then it came from nothing, right? But the thing is that like, if, and I hopefully I remember. I want to like write this to them and see what they respond because I got one of their WhatsApp, or they got my WhatsApp. Obviously, they're trying to contact me, not the other way around. Which I'm pretty sure I don't know if people do. Like, if I were to just like be a perving on them, then they probably would stop contacting me pretty quickly. Also, it's such a bait and switch because like they initiate the contact, but then like it's the male missionaries are the ones you interact with if they're gonna actually join the church. You don't get to keep talking to these gorgeous girls. Anyways, so what was my point? And by the way, before I did because I was on the way home, I was like dying of like desperate panic attacking, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just buy like a bunch of buy a bunch of food and bought a bunch of chocolate. I bought a bunch of chocolate and like a coffee and an energy drink, and just like if I'm too sad, if I'm too sad, I'll try to just like drink coffee and eat chocolate. Hopefully, I'll feel better. Uh, which I think I'll come back to that. Oh man, this is gonna be disappointing, isn't it? the amount in here, which, this is really, because it's terrible for me to be spending my money on chocolate because it's just expensive in Taiwan comparatively to everything else. And by the way, I spent all yesterday writing this man, this is really bad in terms of the amount for the price. That's just expensive. It does go well with that coffee, though. So anyways, so either the world comes from nothing or it comes from God, I guess is what they're saying, right? So oh my God, even this, it's like, it's got more packaging on the inside. Yeah. Chocolate and nuts are two things that are actually way cheaper in the US, relatively speaking, relative to other types of food. I think that one pairs with the energy drink. I would if I had the right type of energy drink. It's a weird ass energy drink. Oh God. Anyway, so don't. And I talked to these girls for a long time. I said all sorts of weird things to them. Trying to let them know. Because the other day, one of the male missionaries was trying to talk to me at McDonald's, and I kind of was like, what? And then later on I thought about it, and I was like, why was I like that? That's so fucking stupid. Like, even if you don't want to be a Mormon, you can talk to the guy, you can be friends with the guy, you can be interested in his life and the experience that he's having. And, what he thinks about Taiwan and what he thinks about the US and everything. These people are better than us and the rest of us. They're better than normal people by a lot. Like, they are better people. Even if you don't agree with their beliefs, even if you think their beliefs are fucked up and stupid and bad, they are better people. Like, they're smarter and harder working and not going to succumb to drugs or gambling or crime, or they're not going to create broken homes. I mean, I'm sure some of them will in some cases, but like for the most part, like on average, they're going to do way better. And they're having a much better impact on society. And they're going to like join the CIA and the FBI and the State Department and help, be the driving force. They're literally helping people. Some people are gonna not be on drugs or like not be addicted to drugs or whatever. They're gonna stop beating their wife or something. They're gonna be able to get out of prison and not recidivate, if whatever the word is, because of what these missionaries are doing. So, so that's great. And that's glorious. But anyway, so my thing is, let's say, again, their thinking is like, okay, either like if you don't believe in God, then what you believe is that the world came from nothing. There is no God. As like the atheist. You're an atheist. That means you believe there is no God. Honestly, the missionary thing is so interesting because they're out there discussing their beliefs with people, which is the thing that most Christians, they don't want to do, is like discuss their beliefs. Because if you point out that their beliefs have logical flaws, then they'll be like, no. And it's like, how about if they're out there talking with people, then that's kind of like they have invited you to point out the logical flaws in their beliefs, I think. Because they're like, because they're asking you they're giving you the opportunity to adopt their beliefs. So in order to adopt their beliefs, you have to understand their beliefs. In order to understand their beliefs, you can ask about anything that doesn't make sense to you. And if you're asking about what doesn't make sense to you, here's your opportunity to point out something that is actually a logical contradiction. It makes you realize that I kind of had a good thing going with the American, going to a breakfast shop, getting the chocolate toast with American coffee, cold American, like iced American coffee. I don't know why it was like doing it for me. It was making my whole day revolved around that, and I was having good days. I was stacking up day after day of good day because of that. It's just like I have the breakfast, and that's like something to look forward to in a thing, and then I go to another one, and this time I chocolate and coffee. And they got the news on. They got the news on, and they got the Wi-Fi. So it's just, I don't know. It's a whole. I feel connected to the world. I don't feel isolated like this. Here I am. It's nighttime. There's like nothing. There's no. I mean, it's time to go to bed. The only people that are out, like interacting with people, are drinking. If I wanted to go drink, then that would be fine, I guess. But I don't really have money for that, and I don't have time for it. That's the thing. So one of these days, I'm going to finish this thing I'm trying to say about the Mormons, but apparently, I want to meander onto every other potential topic, including Ukraine. Just joking. I'm not gonna. That was weird though. That like because I met the woman from Ukraine, which was amazing. I mean, that's the thing about. And she was like, "Yeah, we should hang out, like you and me and my husband." And I was like, "I can't." I didn't say anything. I was like, I can't fucking do that. Because talking to her is like breathing air when I'm suffocating. It's like that. It's like, oh my God, I'm like so happy that somebody like you exists in the universe. It's amazing. Like it's so like I couldn't possibly hang out with her and not like start to try to scheme to steal her from her husband. And I don't want to steal anybody from anybody's husband, even if I was able to do that successfully, because that's a terrible thing to do to somebody. I'd rather just wallow away in my own isolation and misery than negatively affect somebody else's life in that manner. But anyways, so but yeah, I went hard as fuck on the Ukraine thing yesterday, which had nothing to do with my. It was just when I read the news, I was reading the news as I usually do, and suddenly I couldn't just skip over any article that's about drones in any way. I just couldn't skip over it. I had to save it, and then I had to go read through all of them, and then that led me. And then I went for a walk, and as I was like sorting through everything that I was thinking about, it just came to me. I was like, "What the fuck? How does Ukraine even function as a economy at this point? Like, how does that even work? Like, if you have shortages of electricity, or you have shortages of water, you have shortages of life or death goods, then like, are people like handing over their life savings for like a cup of water and then dying the next day when there's no more water out of that? Like, and so I did a real deep dive into the current state of the Ukrainian economy yesterday. But oh God, so here's the thing. Either there's a God or there is no God. One of these two has to be true, I guess, kind of. So in their mind, they're saying, well, if you're saying that there's no God, and where did the world come from? Isn't that kind of illogical to say that the world came from nothing? And the one specific thing they said is there's too many small details that's not. You've never seen naturally occurring, like there's too many small details. I've created things that are like, wait, that doesn't actually disprove that or point at all, does it? Um, just natural systems with no intelligent design behind them can end up having extremely intricate, minute things to them. But no, you could say that comes down to like the math or whatever, the physics. But then math and physics like is God, right? Which is what I'm getting at, and that's what I want to ask them about. Like to them, is math and physics God? But I feel like you have to explain it a lot because if you just use the terms math and physics, people are sort of like in their normal way of thinking of what is math and what is physics. Just like, is that God? It's a, I don't know. Is technology God? Speaking of which, also the guy at McDonald's pissed me off so bad because I said to him like, "There's so many alarms going off behind you right now. There's so many beeping. Like, do you even know what's going on? Can you guys even know what's going on?" And I was just trying to like have like joke with him, and he just acted like I hadn't said anything. Maybe he didn't understand what I said. I'm not sure. Like, really, I wasn't sure like really how to say alarm or beep. Even though I used to say that all the time as an interpreter, I completely forgot how to say it, kind of. So it might have come out weird, and maybe he didn't understand what I was saying, but it just seemed like he just intentionally, completely uh, refused to acknowledge my existence. And it's just like, dude, what the fuck? What is your problem? And it's kind of the whole, I don't know, maybe these guys, they might have the thing like for me when I was that age, when I was a teenager or like early 20s and I had a job working as like a cashier or something like that, I fucking hated the customers. I hated the customers. And I thought like, "Oh, you think you're better than me? You look down on me? You think you bleh?" You know what I mean? Like, that was my like, "Fuck these I'm better than this job." But, like, I feel like, and later on now, like, and now if you give me even the shittiest job in the whole world, I would think about it immediately from day one. I would think about it like a manager. Like, I was the manager at that place. And so to me, it wouldn't actually be boring or like I wouldn't care if people are looking down on me. Like it doesn't matter. The whole business is a system, and I'm a essential component of that system. If I wasn't an essential component, there wouldn't be that position to do. And um, I'm understanding how the entire system works, possibly starting with this one component. And so it just doesn't matter to me, like how much I'm getting paid or how many hours or whether it's a good position, bad position, or you know where in the hierarchy you are, it doesn't matter. But I definitely hated those jobs when I was younger and felt like people were looking down on me and like, I'm better than this, like at Trader Joe's or Orange Julius or etc. Even Cub Foods, because that was just like a super temporary job, and then I went and tried to find a better job. Uh, anyways, so it's sort of like I'm so lonely and so miserable and so anxious just now before I came home. And I was like, I can't go home. Like, I have to. And I'm staring at every single woman. I'm just staring at them. And not in a perfect way. I'm not like, I don't want to do her. I'm like, I just want you to be in my life. I just want to have somebody like you to like talk to just for a little while, just for like a week. And then we'll hate each other. And I'll be like, bro, leave me alone. I need some alone time. Or just every single woman, I just stare. I'm like, you could save me. You could save my motherfucking life. except for the Mormon girls. Except for them because I just they're doing their thing. They're not. I'm not for them. They're not for me. Not in that sense. I'd have to convert them to whatever ridiculous, horrific belief system I have. Nihilism. I'd have to convert them to nihilism. A conversion is going to take place. Either they're going to make me a Mormon or I'm going to make them a nihilist. I wonder if I said that to them, which again, they're like, no, you don't even talk to us. You talk to the dudes. So it doesn't matter. But maybe I'll say that to one of the guys. I'll just be like, look, somebody's getting converted. Either you're converting me to Mormonism or I'm converting you to nihilism. One way or the other, okay? Shake on it. That you can't be like, well, let's just agree to disagree. Or let's just stop talking. No, we're going to talk it out. We're going to keep on going until one of us believes what the other one believes. Until we have the same belief system. We'll see. Anyways, so yeah, I was just staring longingly at everyone, like women with like masks, like a mask and sunglasses and a helmet on. I literally can't. I just know that it's a woman, and I'm just, please, just be a part of my life, please. And so I wasn't gonna come home. Like I was just like, it's to come here, come to this Airbnb. It's like it's self torture. You're torturing yourself for no reason. You need to maybe go get a massage, even though like that's expensive. You know, I mean, it's crazy cheap compared to what it would be cost to get a massage in America. But it's like, I could live on that for like 5 days, or I could spend it in 1 hour of a massage. But I do like desperately need it. Like physically, I'm not doing well. I'm terrible, and like my cortisol levels are so fucking high, and I just need it. So, and like you get to talk to a woman for an hour. That's which clearly is what I so desperately want. Oh, but yeah. So it's like a 2 for 1 there. But I don't know. I just can't. And honestly, it's not. I can't live off of that for 5 days if I'm spending all my money on macadamia covered chocolate. Truly cannot. But, anyways, again, okay. So, what I was thinking was, I don't know why I'm procrastinating on the Mormon thing so much to the point where because this is like the main point. What I'm getting at, what I say now is like the main point of this entire video. And the Mormon thing was supposed to be an aside. But, what I thought about, okay, is that like, if you're this desperately lonely, you can't force yourself to go home and work. But at the same time, the reason why I'm this lonely is because all the way from when I left the hot pot, all the way in America, from when ChatGPT came out, 2 years in America or whatever, 3 years, I think it's almost, yeah, like, and then the time here in Taiwan, like I've been avoiding human beings, and the reason I've been avoiding human beings is so that I can get work done. And like I feel like everything else is out of the way for the most part. There's still coding to do, but the thing is I don't have to put the coding ahead of the graph making. The only thing to do is make a graph. And then once you're making graphs, like that leads to the marketing and the sales process. And the marketing sales means you're contacting people, you're interacting with people. And then if you do that and it's not work, even if it's not working, but you do it for 10 hours, and at the end of 10 hours, you can say, okay, now I can go like interact with people, and like I'll come back and do the same thing tomorrow, but you feel okay. Like you feel like you earned it. You're not feeling like, oh shit, like maybe I'm interacting with people, but I'm like not making any money, and I have no way of making money. And so it's like, no, like I did my thing, and now I'm free to like enjoy life a little bit for a few hours before I go to sleep and do it again tomorrow. So I just feel like even though I'm so sad and lonely and miserable and everything. It's like I just like need to if I just push forward a little bit, just a little bit, just get to the point where I'm actually making graphs, actually making directories. And Chinese New Year's over, and I can start to contact companies and show them what I've made for them, and they can tell me to fuck off, and I can move on to the next company. It doesn't matter. Uh, but what that's going to do is like it's going to remove the fundamental contradiction in my life, which is that I desperately, desperately want to be around people and want to have relationships and want to uh, not be so lonely and isolated. But I also want to have income, and I want to make sure the income is from this specific thing. And um, so those things will all be working together instead of contradicting each other going forward. As soon as I start making graphs, which I'm going to do as soon as I'm done talking about the Mormons, I think. I don't know. Who knows? I might meander onto some other topics. The Ukraine thing, damn. I mean, that's a whole thread. And I really like the idea of reading these threads, but once I get reading, it feels like rough on my throat in a way that talking isn't so much. Okay, so either the world came from God or the world didn't come from God. So if the world didn't come from God, that means that it came from nothing. And I'll come back to that. But if the world came from God, then where did God come from? And they said, God is eternal. And it's like, that's the same thing as saying it came from nothing. That's the same thing. God came from nothing. So if God can come from nothing, why can't the world come from nothing? But I feel like that is not actually the logical argument I'm attempting to make. That's like an easy little thing to say, and that's actually derailing me from the point I'm actually trying to make here, which is that, okay, so if you say God made the world and God came from nothing, that's really just adding an extra layer to saying the world came from nothing. There's nothing, and then there's the world, right? And if you put God in there as a middle layer, like awesome, but it doesn't matter. Like either God came from nothing and then God made the world, or the world came from nothing. Either way, the world comes from nothing. And or the universe or existence or whatever it is, and I don't know if the world is not necessarily, it's not like specifically the earth, or I mean it can be depending on the religion, but so the world came from nothing. They're basically saying that the world came from nothing. Okay, so and an atheist is saying that the world came from nothing, but like obviously it didn't come from nothing, because like, okay, if you're saying the world, then it's like, okay, well, the world came from the universe. Like, well, where did the universe come from? It's like, well, the universe came from, there was things going on that created the universe. And it's like, okay, well, where did those things come from? And it's like, it's an infinite loop. And therefore, the world, existence, humanity, all of it comes from infinity. And you're saying God is eternal, that means God is infinite. So it sounds like you're saying the same fucking thing. God is infinity. Infinity is God. It doesn't matter whether you start with the assumption that there's a God or you start with the assumption that there's no God. You end up at the same place, which is that God is infinite and infinity is God. So, if that is my understanding of God and what God is, does that mean I get to be a Mormon? And if I can, is that way of thinking compatible with Mormonism? And then all of these things like, oh, you have to do this and that, like these rules for life that you have to abide by. I'm okay. I don't care, even if they're weird rules that I don't want to abide by. It's like humans need a certain amount of structure, and if you're gonna have some rules, and some of the rules are gonna be stupid, but like either you're gonna have rules or not. And if you have rules, some of them are gonna be stupid. That's just what it is. So, but So yeah, let's have some rules. We can sign up for some rules. But the question is, do I get to become a Mormon and then marry those two girls, both of them? If the answer is yes, then sign me up. Assuming that like my logic here is acceptable to them. But I don't know if it would be. And I also I kind of doubt that they're ready for that conversation. I don't think anybody's ready for that conversation. Anytime I ever think that anybody is ready for any conversation, I'm always wrong. I'm always fucking wrong. People just want to believe what they want to believe and they don't want their beliefs to be challenged. And then when you challenge them, unless you immediately fold, unless you just pretend to challenge them so that you can fold so that they can feel like they won, if you actually, then they can't handle it and they stop talking to you and they cut you out of their life. That's what people do. But because I was trained to break people psychologically, and I was taught that that was good and normal behavior, and that if you don't do that, you're a bad person, actually. So for me, I'm constantly challenging people's beliefs and not folding and continuing to challenge their beliefs until they decide that they hate me and they don't want to talk to me anymore. Which is why I longingly look at women saying, "Oh, I wish I had somebody like you in my life." But I don't, because all of the women that I've had in my life, I did that, and then they decided they don't want to talk to me anymore. Okay, so Ukraine, I don't know what I want to say. I'm not going to go into the thread right now. I think the plan is to do that soon. I've got a few different threads that I haven't made a video about, which I intend to, including agentic commerce. I think like a round two, drones round two, Taiwan round. I think that's actually the first like major Taiwan one, but Taiwan is sort of like the drone. But I don't know. I feel like there is there any big overall conclusions about the Ukraine situation? I don't know. I really am looking forward to like watching the latest news coming out of Ukraine now because I feel like I have such a comprehensive understanding of the situation. And it's just sort of it's more interesting to know, okay, well, what happens now? What happens now? What happens now? But so I don't know. Maybe I'll do that instead of doing graphs because the thing about the graphs, so even though it is like the number one thing and it's like this conflict in my life and it's the only thing I need to do to remove the obstacle to everything in my life making sense. But it's also I need it to be the main chunk of my day. So it's like if I'm sitting down and make it's like okay, like I'm up, I'm rested, I'm caffeinated, I'm focused. I've gotten done with all the other little things, the news reading and stuff like that. And here we go. We're gonna like dive into the main chunk of the day, which is the graph making, basically. And so I don't know that it's this can be my main chunk of the day right here, right now. I don't know. Kind of feels like the end of the day, even though I've only been up for like 5 hours. But it's 11 p.m. at night, and I'm tired. I'm hungover. I did go drinking last night. You know what I did last night is I sang Chabadua Shenshang in at a bar in front of a whole bunch of people, and I got a huge pop at the end. Uh, well, the guy that I was drinking with, the American I was drinking with, he was like, "They clapped for you. They did. Like the left side loved you." And I was like, "I didn't notice that, bro." All I knew is that I wasn't expecting any clapping at all. And then as soon as I finished, there was a huge round of applause, and I was like, "Holy shit, thanks. That's sweet." But it's funny that how nothing it was to me. Like how at a previous time of my life, if I were to sign up for a karaoke song, it would like I'd be nervous, and it would be the only thing I would be thinking about until I went up there and did it. And then after I was done, I would like really be like care. Did I do a good job or did I not do a good job? And like, like sort of like trying to feel it out in my interactions with people. Do you think I did a good job or not? Or like, do you not like me now because you think I did a bad job, or and do you think I'm awesome because I did? And it's just like it's amazing to me how much it was like I barely even know it wasn't even until I got the applause. It was before that I was like, oh, I just fucking came up here and sang a song. Like I didn't. It wasn't up until that moment. I wasn't even like I was just doing my fucking. It's just routine. It's just normal routine shit. And I don't know if I did a good job. It's hard for me to tell because the thing is, if I don't have weed, then I don't have rhythm. So I can kind of like maybe I was doing okay, like in terms of the lyrics, because it's a rap song. But I don't know that I was like the rhythm, especially because like when I'm on weed, that song specifically, I give it like a Lil Yachty style, which is totally different than the original version that's from 2008, and that style didn't even fucking exist. Uh, you know, and I think it's a lot. I think it's like infinitely better. So I'm like we're doing way better than the original. In addition to the fact that people are just like, "Oh, you're a foreigner, but you're rapping in Chinese. That's pretty sick." I don't know. It's also a good way to. It happens to be a good way to just advertise to everybody that like I can speak Chinese, so you should come up and talk to me or something. Especially the women, but nobody did, and nobody will, and I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that makes me more nervous than nobody talking to me is somebody talking to me. All right. Anyways, let's talk about graphs. I think I'm ready to talk about graphs. Or not. Maybe I need to go eat some fried chicken and go for a walk and stare longingly at women more, and then play Clash Royale, listen to videos about Ukraine, sleep, wake up. There's going to be more news to read. Probably the war in Iran has started. They spend 4 days straight doing nothing but reading about that. And by the time I get done with that, it's going to be back to, oh, now I need to catch up on SEO and chatbots and agentic commerce and drones and Ukraine. And then by the time I'm done with that, it's going to be 3 weeks from now. And then I have to leave Taiwan. And then I never get around to this one fucking thing, the one thing that I need to do. But at the same time, I don't want to like force it. I don't force myself to do this thing. That's because then it's not. I want all my whole being to be all channels, all in the same exact direction here, which I think it is with the graphs. Like all I have to do is make graphs, and everything else kind of flows from that, one way or another. You know. But I also, that's why I wanted to make it so that I have these files that I can make graphs, but from my phone while I'm out in the world. So it's sort of like, do I make graphs or do I work on those files? Which I'm not going to work on those files. I can't code right now. Fuck no, that would kill me. Would kill me. I just need to make graphs one way or another. I don't know if I want to try to make a graph in the video right now, or if I want to spend some time making graphs and then come back and summarize it. It's definitely better, generally speaking, it's way better for me to do things and then put a summary of what I did on the video rather than doing things on video. However, sometimes I'm so desperately lonely and anxious that I need my invisible friend in order to accomplish anything. And I need to walk myself. I need to walk myself through it. Baby steps. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. Okay. What do I make a graph for? Should we start there? I don't know. I'm a little nervous about making a graph, honestly, because if I start making it and then I realize like, oh, this is not like the thing that's gonna like tie everything together for me, then I'm like gonna be like really lost and confused. And as long as I believe it's the thing, until I actually do it and I find out it's not the thing, like that belief is holding me together. But at the same time, it wouldn't be the first time I make a graph or do something like that, and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is totally the thing. This is what I need to be doing." Like, I don't even wanna talk to people now. Like, thank God I don't have a girlfriend. Like, now I can just focus on this for, like, the next 4 days straight. I don't need to sleep or talk to anybody or anything because it's just, like, I'm getting so much reward, mentally, psychologically, neurologically, neuroscientifically. I'm getting so much reward knowing that this is, like, every time I make one of these files, my expectations for my life in the future are getting better. What okay. I don't know. I think I should look up the like my Google saved items because I do have like a list. I have a list of agencies. Speaking of which, I have graphs of agencies. I have graphs and graphs and graphs. So why I feel like I need to make more graphs, I don't know. But now I can like pop out lots of graphs and the vector database is going to auto update itself. Everything else goes off of that. So I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna video wise at least I'm gonna leave it right here. I'm just gonna leave it right here and everything is out of the way. Everything's ready to just focus on graph making. I'm just gonna leave it there probably until tomorrow morning when maybe I wake up and go to a coffee or a breakfast shop and drink some coffee while I make graphs on my phone. Then come home and look at the graphs because I can't do that on my phone yet. Yeah, okay. I think I might do that. I might do that. We'll see. I don't know. As soon as I turn this off, I might have a panic attack. Maybe I have to do another one.